Hello everyone, my name's Aaron, welcome to the 5 Red Lights, and today we are previewing the Austrian Grand Prix. No it's not, it's the Styrian Grand Prix.
1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's go!
So it's off to the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, where we actually opened the 2020 season last year, and it delivered 2 fantastic races, because this is a circuit where, because of its short nature, everyone is much closer together in lap time, and its layout allows for some interesting battles to last a long time. Now, if you think back to 2016, where Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton were doing battle in the closing stages, we had that fantastic finale to that race. We've had so many classic finales and classic moments at that circuit, even in the olden days when it was the Österreich when it was this fearsome, scary sort of baby Nürburgring sort of thing. And on the face of it, it doesn't really look that challenging a circuit. It's a 90-degree right-hander to open, up a hill, another sort of 90-degree right-hander, a 180 right-hander in turn 3, well actually turn 4, because apparently there's a second turn somewhere along the straight up the hill. And it's fairly straightforward. It's high speed, and it can actually draw mistakes out of the drivers. It sucks you in. And they've also, well, I think they've removed the curbing now on the outside of turn 5, but that still doesn't take away from the challenge. There's a nice big gravel trap just waiting to greet you if you get in a little bit too hot. And of course, I mentioned the classic moments, and we had the Rosberg-Hamilton incident at the top of the hill at turn 3, but quite memorably, McLaren have had some mishaps there in the past, a little bit like me at the start of this video, calling the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. Because last year we had the Austrian Grand Prix first, then the Styrian Grand Prix, but this year they're the other way around. And my brain just hasn't got round that yet. So McLaren in 1999 locked out the front row. Coulthard and Hakkinen were going up to turn 3 side by side. Coulthard put his nose in a little bit too far than he should have, and he tipped Hakkinen into a spin. Hakkinen went on to carve his way through the field and finish third, while DC lost the race to Ferrari. I'm not sure we're going to quite see a battle between Ferrari and McLaren at the front this weekend. I don't think Ferrari are actually going to be at the front at all. It's not a circuit that's going to play to their strengths, in my opinion. They've worked well on circuits with lots of low speed corners and a track that requires agility. The middle sector in Baku required a very agile car, something that you could get round those slow corners quickly, maintaining the grip, maintaining your pace. And of course, Monaco is pretty much all that. So they went very well there, and they were much further off the pace, especially on race day in France. McLaren, on the other hand, had a really good weekend in France, coming through from 8th and 10th on the grid to finish 5th and 6th. But what of the battle at the front? I posed the question at the end of my last video, which came out yesterday, my French recap. Are Red Bull the team to beat? And in my opinion, they are the favourites this weekend, not Mercedes. Mercedes generally haven't gone that well historically at the Red Bull Ring. Of course, in the infant years of the hybrid era, they had the all-dominant car, so they had enough margin to still be in front. But they might have won in 2017, Bottas pulling out some heroics to stop Vettel on that weekend. But in 2018 and 2019, Red Bull were the team to beat, despite not having the fastest car. And of course, we had that fantastic finale in 2019 between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, where they went wheel to wheel and even banged wheels at turn 3. See what I mean about finales and turn 3? Of course, last year we had Albon almost win the race for Red Bull, but Lewis Hamilton saw to that, unfortunately. Bottas generally goes pretty well in Austria, and he won the opening race there last year before Hamilton struck back. But let's just think about Red Bull. They were close to Mercedes last year. Verstappen broke down after just 11 laps in the first race and could potentially have challenged for victory, or at least made sure of a second place. And he did pick up a second place. No, he picked up a podium, I think. Was he third? I can't remember. He picked up they all amalgamate into one at the moment. He picked up a podium in the Styrian Grand Prix, losing out to Bottas. Yeah, it was third, because he had that battle with Bottas, didn't he? Picked up that podium, which was some reward, but it was not as much as Red Bull could have come away with. They could quite easily have come away with a 1-2 in the first race, and then third and fourth, and maybe even a second and fourth in the second race there last year. Given their form this year, they're the favourites. They have the fastest car, and that circuit is going to suit their car down to the ground. It doesn't rely too heavily on straight line speed. Obviously, you need enough power to get up the hill quite well. But that middle sector is all about balance and maintaining the downforce and your speed. And of course, a good run through the final couple of corners will set you up for a nice run onto the next lap. Red Bull have come off the back of a brilliant result in France, and they'll be looking to continue that in Austria. So they are my tip for victory. But what do I think about everybody else? McLaren, they're going to outperform the rest of the midfield. It could be a circuit that goes well for Aston Martin and for AlphaTauri. Alpine and Ferrari, I think, are going to struggle. What about the backmarkers? Could this be the weekend that Williams pick up a point? Because George Russell has been performing heroics in that Williams in terms of getting into Q2 at every round this season. He got it into Q2 last year in Austria, but unfortunately he couldn't maintain that position. He went off on the opening lap. And this year's car is better than the 2020 machine. So could this be the weekend that Williams finally get that elusive point? So let's crack on with some predictions. Let's start with pole position, and I'm going for Max Verstappen to repeat the oracle of Paul Ricard. He's going to claim pole position pretty commandingly for me. But who's going to line up alongside him? Max has got the fastest car, and so has Sergio Perez. I think Red Bull are going to lock out the front row this weekend, and they're going to cause Mercedes some massive problems with their pace. Sergio is looking in fantastic form. He's coming off the back of a win and a podium. He's got his feet under the table now. He said give him 5 or 6 races and he'll figure the car out, and boy, hasn't he just. If circumstances had played their way in Paul Ricard, he may even have won that race. That could have been a thing. He could have won 2 races in a row, and then he would have been potentially in championship contention. He'd have had the same amount of wins as Max. Of course, he didn't, and he picked up a fantastic podium, but that is what he's there to do. He's there to back up Max and make sure he causes Mercedes as many problems as possible, compared to what Albon and Gasly were able to achieve as the second driver for Red Bull. So we might be seeing a repeat of Max on the front row, but this time with Sergio alongside him. They haven't locked out the front row yet this season. Both have started on the front row. Max obviously taking some pole positions. Sergio qualifying second in Imola. Where are Mercedes going to end up in all of this? They're going to be just behind, but critically it's going to be Bottas who is in third. Hamilton, obviously he's strong everywhere because he's Lewis Hamilton. He's as a 7-time world champion. You don't become a 7-time world champion by not having access to your ability at every single circuit. But obviously drivers are prone to ups and downs, peaks and troughs. That's the way sports goes. And Bottas just seems to have the knack around the Red Bull ring. It's the sort of circuit he goes well on. So Bottas, for me, will pip Hamilton to third. McLaren will probably, with Lando Norris, at least be somewhere around the third or fourth row. Ferrari might even qualify ahead of them, as they have done at every race this season. But I'm tipping George Russell to get somewhere close to Q3 as well, because the boy can qualify. So don't be surprised if George Russell gets into Q3 or very, very close. He's been 11th or 12th a couple of times this season in qualifying, so watch out for him too. And let's move on to the race itself. So it's a Red Bull lockout on the front row in qualifying. Max Verstappen is going to be my race winner. I think he'll have control of the race. He'll take his third win on the Red Bull Ring layout and extend his championship lead further. And Red Bull are going to get a 1-2. It's not easy to overtake in Austria, but it is doable. There are 3 DRS zones, and obviously there's the big run up the hill into turn 3. And of course, memorably, Nico Rosberg made a mistake at turn 1, hit the inside curve a bit too hard, and it gave Hamilton the run on him. I can't see Red Bull allowing their 2 drivers to battle. I don't think Perez will be quick enough. But obviously, Sergio is the tyre whisperer. So if it becomes a race of looking after your tyres, Sergio might be in a good position to at least protect his team leader, Max Verstappen. Behind them, Lewis Hamilton is going to pick up a podium in 3rd place. Now, I said it's not easy to overtake, and it's not. But I think Mercedes might even pull a strategy in Lewis's favour to make sure that he keeps up the pace with Max as much as possible. They might even have to pull a team order. Because Bottas, let's face it, he's not in the championship hunt. Unless he's winning the race, or at least ahead of Verstappen, then Mercedes really seriously need to think about how they're going to go about it. I know race 8 is very early to start considering team orders, but they have to think bigger picture. They really cannot let Verstappen and Red Bull open up a bigger gap than they can help. Losing the race in France, not in a way that was disastrous. Red Bull have a fast car, so it's conceivable that they can beat Mercedes, and they just out-strategized them. But Mercedes could have won that race, given that they had the lead from turn 1. And I don't think they're going to be quite on the pace this weekend. So they're going to need to work Lewis into a position where he minimises his points loss to Max. And of course, they might just need to move Valtteri out of the way, whether he likes it or not. Now, this is all assuming that it's a dry race. The weather forecasts I've seen this morning, it's rain all weekend. So all of this could go completely down the drain. And if we get a wet race, it's anybody's guess. Hamilton will come into his own. Verstappen is handy in the wet too. Sergio and Valtteri, they don't always run so well when it's damp. So we could see someone else coming through for a surprise podium. But if it stays dry, based on pure performance and what I think the car characteristics will achieve on that circuit, that's my top 3 for the qualifying and my top 3 for the race in Styria, not Austria. Styria. And my bold prediction, it surrounds Williams, but it's that Nicholas Latifi will escape Q1 and get into Q2, which he has achieved once this season in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And, the Williams, I think, will go pretty nicely around Spielberg this weekend. And I've already tipped George Russell to get into Q3. So, good old Nicholas will, I think, follow suit and get himself out of Q1. This is a circuit that obviously relies on power and top speed, as well as cornering ability at those high speeds. The Ferrari power unit does lack a little bit on the top end range, so I can see obviously Haas will fall by the wayside. I can see both Alfa Romeos falling, and I think Yuki Tsunoda might not make it again out of Q1. But there's also the Alpines and the Aston Martins that are there, who could also be dragged into the mire in Q1. And I think Nicholas Latifi is improving. He's driving well this season. He's doing what's expected of him. He's not really outperforming the car all that often, but then he is teammate to George Russell, who I think is a star of the future. Nicholas is a safe pair of hands, and I think he's going to get into Q2 in Styria this weekend. So there you have it. There are my predictions and my thoughts ahead of the Styrian Grand Prix this weekend. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching and for your support. Hopefully it's another crazy weekend of Formula 1 action, and if we get a race that is just as interesting as Paul Ricard, we could be on to a massive winner. Of course, we don't know what the weather has in store for us. It could bucket down with rain, and that will turn everything upside down, and that is what we want to see. Everything up in the air and excitement everywhere. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. My name's Aaron. This has been the 5 Red Lights, and when the 5 Red Lights go out, I will see you next time. Bye for now.